Join us for a full driving review of the Audi S8, one of the weapons from the Audi lineup, the top luxury sedan in the sportiest setup. As you know, exterior, interior and the sporty driving experience. Enjoy it in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. In the front you can see the huge Audi single frame grille, the S8 then with the sporty badge, stronger contrasting lower area. This is here the chrome contrast to the Navara blue, and I think it also fits better. However, you could also go for a black pack for a more sinister look. LED headlamps are standard, optional the matrix LED with laser light function, which is also equipped with this vehicle. And taking a look here at the turning indicators or hazard lights, of course in a spectacular cascading style. The length is either at 5 meters 18, 17 foot or 204 inches short wheelbase, or the long wheelbase version, which is standard for the US, 5 meters 30, 17 foot 4 or 209 inches. Here we have a European model with a short wheelbase. You can see that the rear door is not that long actually. Then the wheels would come 21-inch as standard in the US, but here we have the 20-inch with the winter tire still and with the optional carbon ceramic brakes. And wow, once again, what a great contrast here to the Navara blue color, and also with the contrasting side mirror caps. A beautiful, elegant design, also with this falling roofline right there. Look at these color nuances right there. And interesting design lines here above the door handle. Here it's actually inside the door handle, but then two more are forming right there for some stronger shoulders. So a very elegant styling. This is the top luxury sedan in the sports styling, but not over the top definitely. Air suspension is standard here for the S8 with the sportier setup. Soon more when driving that vehicle, of course. Rear axle steering is also standard for the S8 to give you even more agility at lower speeds in the smaller turning circle, and turning in the same direction in the front wheels at a higher speed for more stability. In the rear we can see once again elegant styling here, interesting signature for the tail lamps, and the light strip goes all the way across the vehicle. Interesting that the A8 in general, by the way, if you look at the rear from the side, is more like this, whereas the A6 is more upright and the A7 goes more like this, so they differentiate in the 6, 7 and the 8. Pretty interesting. The S8 with the sporty badge and with the contrast in lower part, honeycomb style in a small way right here, and 4 massive exhaust tips for this 4-liter V8 bi-turbo. And by the way, the rear differential lock is also standard for the S8. And we also have here the cascading indicators at the rear. And under the hood here we have a 4-liter V8 bi-turbo in the S8 with 571 horsepower. 3.8 seconds is the acceleration figure, and the all-wheel drive distribution, a classic quattro all-wheel drive, 40% in the front, 60% in the rear is a standard distribution, and maximum would be 85% in the rear and maximum also 70% in the front, so it's also a little bit varying. Car key as badge at the other side. Here we go. Then first of all, door closing sound. Ooh, nice, very solid. And have you seen that? Here, the car lifted up because I opened the door, the air suspension put it up. And also an option, door closing with a soft close. Really cool. And I mean, this lifting up of the air suspension was really quick as well for better entry level. Then everything stretched tightly, carbon fiber design, then a bright microfiber, that's beautifully done. The door handles here, they open from the lower part and just a little bit because there's also, a help to get out of the vehicle, so the door automatically opens a little bit. Optional B&O sound system, great 3D sound, and then this S interior, or the S8 steering wheel and with the badge, huge 2 openings. We know that from the normal A8. The seats, they come here with the sport seats with the S stamping. In Europe, you could also go back basically to the normal comfort seat. That's possible. In US, only the sport seat here available. And sadly for the S8, so far only with animal skin. In the Audi e-tron GT, there's more progress for animal-free materials. Then getting inside, this is really great comfort here. So the seat form itself is really awesome comfort. And when I put the seat all the way down with one with A6 or 6.1, plenty of headroom. I usually put it up that it's a little bit more upright. I have better seating comfort than electronic support here for the steering wheel, up and down, in and out. Takes a while, but it's also a good and smooth process, and yeah, really a place to relax. The thing is, when you think about, you found this car so cool, you don't really need the space in the rear, and you want it a little bit cheaper. Indeed, if you think about an Audi A6 or Audi A7, and they're also available in the S models then, for example, or in sportier models, in the front, they are not too different indeed. So if you're driver focused, you will also be fine with the A6, S6, S7, A7. Won't make such a difference seating-wise in the front. Screens, screens, screens. 12.3, 10.1, 8.6. But the funny thing is, although it's screens all over the place, the user interface is the best screenish interface we know. Why? It's still straightforward. Soon we'll show you with all the details of the screens. Rest of the interior, you see here, stretched horizontally. This, you can serve food, theoretically, if you would be allowed to serve food in a vehicle, which is never allowed. Sorry, my rule. Then here, ambient lighting, beautiful, especially at nighttime driving. Our nighttime drive will, of course, also commence soon. Then the Quattro logo, the glove box, and a little bit overlapping right here. Such a clean design layout, definitely. Steering wheel here with volume control on the right side, left side to control the digital instruments, and also more about that soon. These screens can also interact together a little bit. For example, if you're in a GPS and search for an address, then the lower part becomes either the keyboard here, or you can, write, like here, Berlin. Sorry, that's, the car, here, the car could read my terrible handwriting. Thank you, S8. So this will be possible, of course, also with the voice control. Then here in the lower part, you can activate the camera system, for example, and the camera system also has this 3D view. That's always spectacular. Oh, they didn't go for the blue color here. That would have been a cool detail, wouldn't it? Then here in the lower middle console, we have the automatic shifting lever with the carbon fiber cover. That's fancy. The cup holders are hidden here, adaptive. And then we have this armrest, and you can either put them up a little bit like this really practical for driving, or then lift them up completely. But here there is like this, I'm not sure, that doesn't sound right, It's the only thing I find here in the interior which doesn't sound right. Also here, and when you put it all the way up, then you have space for your phone. Also wireless for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Then you can also use the inductive charging pad. And the chargers here, 2 times USB-A. Now the digital instruments, they're very clear to read. Also with the sporty styling. Then here, left side, you can have the map, but you can also switch what you want to see. Like there's here also the nighttime view, for example. Oh, by the way, this consumption here, this was with high-speed driving, like too fast driving. So more to the normal consumption while driving, of course, or the minimum. Here, map all over the place. It's also possible. So yeah, one of my favorite virtual instruments. Head-up display with the current speed, loud speed, and also some assistant systems info. If you have a route set, you'll also have some guidance from the GPS there. Top screen then, I think a very straightforward, normal main menu. And on the left side, you can also have this as a hotkey. So for example, when you are in the GPS with a great satellite view, the CPU power is also way than enough here. So they do not have a problem with the laggy infotainment system. And then I always put the Apple CarPlay hotkey here on the left side. And then I can also play my music. And I can tell you this B&O Bang & Olufsen sound system here is it's just super amazing. It's an absolute joy to drive this vehicle and listen to it. Really cool. This is how the Apple CarPlay integration works. Also all over the screen works very, very well. So I'm really happy with this infotainment system. Lower area, usually I say I want hard buttons for the climate menu, and that's still true. However, for a touchscreen AC unit, it's the best, it's the best buttonless unit, I think, because you can still straightforward reach it either with this sliding or putting plus, minus. It's still easy to use while driving. And let's say you're a passenger, changes the temperature on the right side that much. Yeah, sometimes there's a big mismatch then in the feeling of a temperature. And then you want to change it back at some point again, or maybe passenger left the car, then do it like this. Here, this gesture on the screen synchronizes the temperature again. I think a fancy solution. Audi Drive Select is below here, by the way. Well, I usually leave it in the auto mode, but then you can also switch to the dynamic mode right there. And what's always also possible when you leave it in the auto driving mode, but just pull back the shifting lever, you're in the S shifting mode. You also have more boost. Also for the rear doors, we have a soft close. Yay, magic. But that's again an option. And now the difference from the A6 to the A8 is, of course, you have more space in the rear. You have, by the way, here also these electric shades, quite fancy. And then, of course, more space in the rear. This is then the short wheelbase version, told you earlier. In the US version, or when we go for the long wheelbase version in Europe, we have even more rear legroom. However, if you consider the length of the vehicle and then see how much legroom you have here when you are driving as a tall driver, this is, of course, more than enough legroom. But considering the exterior length, the package on the interior is not that good. The seats are, of course, very voluminous. So the packaging is not the best, but that's a problem of the segment in general. Headroom, then here with 1.6, 6 with 1, no problem, enough space. And of course, a very cozy setup. You can get different luxury setups here, also with electric rear seats, that's all possible. Isofix, of course, and here these head restraints, they are really plush and voluminous. In the middle seat, you can theoretically also sit, but that's harder thing to do, but it works space-wise. The middle console right here with two 12-volt power supplies. Then you can put down this and split it. Then you have, for example, here this tablet where you can also play around, like with the infotainment system, change something of the lights or the sun blinds and so on, change the settings, change the temperature here for the rear. Then here, some more space. We even have a CD changer here in the rear middle. That's quite funny to see. Like here in the middle part. There we go. There it is. Interesting. So, and we put that up again. Here the passenger side. Move the seat forward. So this is also an example how you can, be driven. Then, of course, even in the short wheelbase version, you have way more than enough space. And can just relax your ride. And by the way, here we also have some cup holders. They are also adaptive. And what's also really funny is that we have here basically also a soft close for this middle console area. Let's see. There we go. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. And closed. Now to the trunk. Here we go, electric hatch. Nice build quality here as well. Then the lower part you can lift up. Some more equipment. Side storage. Not too high, of course, typical sedan style. What's interesting here, there is this ski hatch available. You have to go around and then open it from here. There we go. And then the measurements. But first of all, when I put a backpack in here, that you see that easily fits also height-wise. No problem. Then normal length of the trunk. This here, this is a meter. So first of all, better the width. So this is a meter or 40 inches right here, a little bit more narrow towards this area. And the normal length here is also a little bit under a meter or 40 inches. But then we have this step in the trunk. And if you go above the step, this is then 46 inches or 1 meter 17. And last but not least, the height here at 21 inches or 53 centimeters. Here we go. Rear axle steering, awesome. Such a long vehicle, but due to the rear axle steering, really, relatively narrow turning circle. And I promised you something special, told you earlier. We start with this technology feature, and now we'll head on to the German motorway. That will be just a part with unlimited speed. Nighttime experience here with the ambient lighting, beautiful ambient lighting. Of course, I can't help myself but set it to Thomas Blue right here. Yeah, I mean, this is a really cool experience, especially at nighttime. German motorway, German Autobahn, the A1, by the way. So yeah, the highway number 1 is something very special in the US, and Big Sur is, basically my favorite road all over the world, this part at Big Sur. But here the German Autobahn number 1 is also quite special, especially then for our friends from the US to see something like this here. Then the sports rear differential is standard with the S8. The rear axle steering is standard. Now here dynamic mode. We are at 60 kilometers an hour. Let's go. And now we are at 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. That went pretty quick and super smooth. This is also a very interesting part because we have a bend right here. You see there's also a lot of traffic, but I mean 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, and it feels like nothing in here, literally. This is like a lower noise level than in some other cars at 80 kilometers an hour or like 50 miles an hour or something. So this is like a lower noise level at, than some other cars at 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour or something. So incredible noise insulation, and it's such a smooth experience. The only thing you maybe realize at the get-go, the car took a while to shift down first with the kick down. It's just that it's, even when you're in sport mode, it's putting higher gears to keep the consumption rather low. So as shifting mode and dynamic mode, the sport is experience. You can always boost it yourself with shifting down yourself with the great shifting pedals. I mean, I'm here at 150 kilometers an hour, and now I shift back twice. And 200 again. So you've seen I went from 7th to 5th gear, and then you have the absolute super flawless acceleration, because when you shift down yourself first, you immediately have the right RPM set. So that's making this car then even quicker. And wow, incredible performance from this 4-liter V8 bi-turbo. You also have the MF system here now, the mild hybrid system. Of course, when you drive so high motorway speeds, it's not, not that low in the fuel economy. But however, in a mixed average, you can score something 10.5 liters in 1 kilometers. So yeah, that's a little bit more than 20 mpg US and a little bit less than 30 mpg UK. considering the size and the power of this vehicle, it's still somewhat okay. Even if you are at high speeds here, 100 kilometers an hour, now unlimited speed again, I shift down myself. That was 100 to 200 once again. And have you seen it? I shifted down twice, but then the car went back 2 more gears to, like we were driving 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour, and the car was shifting back to 3rd gear. Yeah, and I think also a nice sound. It's not, it's not annoying or something. It's, I would say, it's not too loud. It's nice, sonorous, and subtle, because this is a gentleman's vehicle. It's a gentleman's, well, not sports car. It's a gentleman's sports sedan or sports luxury sedan, and therefore it's also more fitting when there's a, low frequency, very good and interesting sound, but when it's not exaggerated, let's take it that way. I think that's very important for this vehicle, and I mean, it's absolutely astonishing how well this car sits on the road. Air suspension is standard. In the dynamic mode here, it is stiffer and also lower. The air suspension can change the level, and in the dynamic mode it just goes lower to give you more contact to the road. And it's such a smooth and sporty driving experience. Yeah, I mean, it's at some point beyond the description. So this is such a perfect Autobahn vehicle. It's definitely one of the best cars you can drive long-term motorway, no matter if it's fast or slow. It's just incredible, and I hope you really enjoy this experience here together with me, and especially here in this nighttime area. Now we're getting a little lower speed. There's also speed camera being announced. Yeah, thank you so much for announcing it first. Really important for this vehicle. Now I'm going back to the Comfort Plus mode. Now the level of the air suspension is raising a little bit. I have more dampening comfort now. And for example, I could stay in this comfortable mode, and maybe at some point, like when I can accelerate here again, I would just want to change the shifting mode. Then I can go to the S shifting mode, but keep the soft suspension mode, just by pulling back the automatic shifting lever and go back again, and I'm in a normal D mode. In the S shifting mode, then it shifts up later, shifts down earlier, but the suspension and everything else is just kept the same. However, if you're in dynamic mode and the suspension is a little bit stiffer, it is still super comfortable. So yeah, this car is always comfortable no matter in mode you are in which mode you are in. But of course, if you drive a little bit faster, the firmer suspension in the dynamic mode also helps you to keep the control a little bit better, and it's also a little bit more fun to drive, then no doubt about that. If you do normal acceleration here, like from 100 to 130 kilometers an hour, like I'm doing right now, just with a slight press on the throttle, you don't even realize that. Therefore, you always have to check the speed, that you don't exceed it. In other cars, you would really feel, like a transition from, whoa, and that, yeah, always have to pay attention to that. Glad he had that blind spot monitor. Yeah, sometimes I was taking to the right. Yeah, always pay attention to my driving mode. What you see is quite dense traffic, but it's also a realistic scenario. So we have some parts on the motorways where we can drive unlimited, but there's also parts with dense traffic and also with limitations, of course. Then put it into the middle lane, set the cruise control. I can set it to 130 kilometers an hour, which is the current speed. There's also traffic sign recognition, so when the speed is changing, the car will also adapt to that. That's really flawlessly done. Even in advance, this is so-called predictive assistant for more efficiency in the highest build of the assistance systems packages. And then the car will decrease the speed in advance to be more efficient. And when you are not using the cruise control, you will still get info of that. There will be like a lift your foot symbol in the head-up display, and you also feel it with the two vibrations in the throttle pedal, and that is then signalizing, Thomas, lift your foot off the throttle if you want to be more efficient. And efficiency in Germans, that's our thing, Yeah, at least something we can do good, right? We're not, we're messing up so many things all over the place, for sure. Germans will know. But efficiency is, at least in some parts, at least for cars, sometimes quite on top of the point, yeah. So, back to setting the cruise control, and you can just relax then, basically. And then you can also decide if you want this active lane keeping assist or not. And this one is really keeping the car very well in the lane, but you can always deactivate it at any point. Here it's a very smooth thing. You should keep your hands on the steering wheel all the time. It's not nervous, not like left, right. It's really subtle experience that the car is kept on, now please take over steering, direct your attention to the road, evil Thomas. So sometimes always also giving me these false positives, let's call them that way. Blind spot monitor here appearing, really cool, and so helpful to have this one integrated in the mirrors, and then it's also flashing right there when you set the turning indicator. Now even decreasing to 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and I mean it's so super silent in here. Yeah, that's really amazing. And consumption, of course, a little bit higher because of our high speed, but I mean, at some point when you do like cruise control 100 kilometers or cruise control 60 miles, you can even bring this down to 9 liters on 100 kilometers. That's then very well 30 miles, so 30 mpg US, or even a little bit more, 30 mpg UK. So it is a very, very efficient 8-cylinder engine, really have to say that. So I'm quite astonished by that. Of course, we rather give you like not the minimum consumption figures, but also more like realistic ones and so on. Really cool when like the motorways go down and up again, and you see on the left side the bright lights, the white lights, and on the right side the braking lights or the normal rear lights. It's always a very cool scenery then for that one. And maybe you also realize how I don't have to raise my voice at all. This is definitely one of the most silent vehicles on the road. And the cool thing here about the S8 is you have more power, definitely, but there's no compromise in the comfort. So let's say you have an S-Class and you go for the S-Class AMG, the difference there. Then you have to compromise on comfort a little bit, because the S-Class AMG is just way sportier, but you also lose some of the comfort. Here, A8 or S8, you will have the very same comfort in the S8, just that it's sportier. Of course, more expensive, even more expensive than the normal expensive A8. So of course pricing is in a way ridiculous for this segment here overall, because at some point it's not so much more expensive for the manufacturers to build this vehicle, but they just get more money from it, whereas for an Audi A4, Audi makes let's say 1,000 euros pure revenue with that car, something like that, like low 4-digit scale. And with cars like the A8, Audi makes like a high 5-digit figure pure revenue from that, Now, speed is a little bit higher again, and I mean, I just have to leave my foot on the throttle just a little bit, and then we already get it. And let's go to the dynamic mode once again, 100 to 130. Let's shift back ourselves, 4th gear. Whoa, that was 140 already. No one saw that. Whew, at least that wasn't recorded on camera what I did now. Yeah, but in all seriousness, I always obey the speed limits, because that's the way. I mean, I had my driver's license, I made it in 2004, yeah, and I never lost it ever since, and I never got like a big fine or something, and that's really important for my job, because I mean, it's like with a taxi driver. If I lose my driver's license, I can't work, so that's really important to me. I mean, sometimes you have these situations where you are super unlucky, you know, like, you know, 100 kilometers an hour, and you say like, don't want to like waste all the fuel. I want to let the car roll out a little bit more, and then you take 1 or 2 seconds longer that you are on the new speed limit, and then exactly there, like a couple of meters before, they put a speed camera. It's like, really? Seriously? Is that so important now for road safety? I mean, we all agree that like in front of schools and, you know, where there's small kids and so on, speed limits should be really strict and really also controlled in a, you know, regular way, if not with fixed speed cameras. Everyone is fine with that, you know, but like situations where they just do it, you know, has nothing to do like with big safety or something, where you just know they do that because they can collect good money in this position, then it's of course, yeah, just unfair, I would say. But I mean, we should all obey the speed limit. They are there to be, you know, obeyed. There's always a reason for that, most of the times. Here now in the traffic situations in the construction lane, it's also a wide vehicle, especially for European taste. So you see, it doesn't really fit with the construction side lanes here. But still, since you have this rear axle steering, it feels more compact than it is. We started the driving part with the, you know, with the rear axle steering, and that really fakes a shorter wheelbase. It feels like it would have a shorter wheelbase, and it drives then like this at slower speeds. The rear axle or the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels, and at higher speeds here, they turn in the same direction to give you more stability. And I can just stress again, the rear axle steering is for long wheelbase vehicles one of the coolest technology highlights you can have. It's really awesome, and I would always go for that. Gladly, it's standard here with the S8. What's going on? An accident there or what? Changing the tires? How many people were in this vehicle? It's always funny when you're driving just somewhere, somehow, you see so weird and strange stuff sometimes, and you always have it here on camera. I'm not sure if you could see that from this angle, but we had really interesting situations also caught on camera, and it's always great to see then the comments, you know, with the time code and so on. Or like, oh, look at this guy at 10 minutes 13 or whatever, or oh look, they are watching, you know. Sometimes I'm talking to you guys, and then next to us we have cars that are passing by or standing next to the traffic light. It's like, what's going on there? Is that guy filming? Oh, there's 2 cameras inside. What's going on? And there's so funny situations, but I don't see it, you know. I don't see, because I'm like connected to this camera or look to the front, but then you guys see them, you know, here, and that's so funny situations. Wow. And you can have a very sporty driving experience here with the Audi S8 on the motorway. At the same time, a super relaxed experience, especially then with the upgraded infotainment systems here, top notch, that Audi has to offer. So I really have to say, it is one of my favorite motorway vehicles. Especially to me, of course, and to more and more people, we care about if animals are being used to put in the vehicle. I think that's something from the past. You can have the very same experience with the same material feel and, you know, the quality and so on, even with pure recycling materials nowadays. So I think they should just do it everywhere, and not only, you know, in special models or on request. It should be standard. No one has to lose anything. No one has to lose any luxury experience. We all just can gain from that. So that would be important to me when I buy an Audi A8 or here the S8. They do not offer it in this car here yet from Works. But if they offer that, and I drive motorway for, you know, a lot of times, I would seriously consider this vehicle. You can drive in V8 in an efficient way. That's also cool, especially using cruise control. So if this vehicle would be equipped with recycled seats and you put it cruise control on the motorway, it is not, you know, like not that catastrophical for the environment if you compare it to like a compact hot hatch or something, you know. That's very interesting thing. Sometimes we have hot hatches that are using the same amount of fuel and with down-tuned, very, very small engines, yeah.
So many aspects, of course, to talk about vehicles when we drive them, and I mean that's why you are here, because we really go in depth on all the vehicle, and we are car enthusiasts like you are watching, no matter if it's all electric or if they use here the petrol engines, and we see disadvantages and advantages in all segments in all cars, and of course also with all the different drivetrains. So no matter if you go high speed in this vehicle or if you're stuck here in the construction lane, you can always enjoy your ride. And since you have this rear axle steering, it's also possible to drive very well in the city. So really hope you enjoyed our Thomas's nighttime driving lounge special here with the Audi S8 for today. Please leave us your comments.
And now to our conclusion for today with the Audi S8. Meanwhile, it's quite chilly and dark outside, and I really hope you enjoyed our nighttime motorway experience, German Autobahn. Well, exterior, I think, really elegant and sporty at the same time. Not overdone, exactly right on point. If you think about the siblings, A6, A7, A8, my design favorite is of course the A7 because of this really striking fastback design, and that's also one of my key points for today. It has been such a great ride, but if you want a little bit cheaper, not cheap in general, but cheaper than the A8 or S8, you can also go for the A6 or for the A7 and have a similar great luxury driving experience in the front. The A8, S8, really, if you also want that chauffeur-like experience in the rear, if you need more or want more space in the rear, if you also want to be driven at some point, maybe drive this car yourself for a pleasure ride at some point, but another day you have to work or something, or use the phone while driving or something and want to concentrate on that and then be driven, then the A8 or the S8 would be the choice for you. Interior is a superb build quality, a digital user interface, but still one that is very well to use. One thing that is missing if you want such a great vehicle but want it more sustainable and want it more animal friendly, we also need animal skin alternatives for this segment here, but Audi is now finally working on that too. Overall, one of the best motorway or Autobahn cars there is. Has been such a great ride. So super comfortable and sporty at the very same time. Impressive vehicle, and said earlier, when you put it to cruise control at a reasonable speed on the motorway, this 4-liter V8 is also indeed quite efficient. Also possible, the consumption figures we scored on the motorway, so some 9 liters minimum on 1 kilometers is actually possible. So that's then very well in the 30 mpg regions. Of course, if you floor it out a little bit more, then more towards 11 liters on 1 kilometers, which is then more like in the 20 mpg regions. So, thank you so much for tuning in today. Leave us your comments. Also tune into some relevant reviews. We'll also link other interesting reviews in the video description. So I would say see you there or at our very next review.